So I'd like to talk about how to talk to people, how to have honest conversations, difficult conversations. And yeah, um, and this is, I would say, a gift that I have, and also a great shadow. It's often the case, it seems, that the gift and the shadow there's a connection. But there is a kind of technique to it, how to have a difficult conversation. It's not really, I almost hesitate to say technique because that makes it sound kind of manipulative or something, and it's not really about that. I mean, it's a piece, it is of a piece with this quality of sincerity and honesty on the path, emotional sobriety. You know, one of the great intoxicants we have on this crazy planet is each other, and all the ways we get entangled and enmeshed and desire from each other and have expectations and projections and so we get intoxicated, we get distorted, we get unclear. And so one of the dimensions of our human experience is language and the ability to talk and to express. But if it's just a superficial technique, then it really is not very useful. Won't have the thing. I guess the thing that I'd like to impart is that this, in having difficult conversations, you want to kind of stay focused on what do you want out of the conversation on one level. And if it's to win, you're off to a bad start. Yeah, you're off to a bad start. An understandable start. You know, this crazy human condition that we get betrayed, we get stepped upon, we get, people passing off their own junk and confusion and projection. Abuse, violence, anger. I mean, it runs the whole spectrum, right? And most of us, 99% of us, I would venture to guess, I don't know how accurate that is, but did not grow up with good communicators. the models around us, for some of us, we're just very dysfunctional. Yellers, angry people, codependent people, passive-aggressive people. That's one of the great strategies of the wounded heart, of the wounded spirit. And there's a lot of terrain here to cover because it's not straightforward. I mean, I can lay out some kind of basic principles, but yeah, and maybe I should give a little bit of a backdrop to all this. It's like in relationships, one of the things that happens is people transgress our boundaries. We transgress each other's boundaries. I transgress people's boundaries. I get my boundaries transgressed. Or, just miscommunication. Sometimes it's innocent. Clashing of values. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can kind of get tangled up and feel aggrieved. That we get, I mean, there's just so many avenues for this to happen, but and so something that I greatly struggle with and therefore have done a shit ton of experimentation with and very mixed results with is as you start to heal and you start to come out of repression a little bit, start to transform, transmute, digest some of the shadow, frozen energy, shadow material, you recognize how it got stuffed down in there, and a lot of it has to do with relationships with people. Hell is other people, right? Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, I think, said that. Or at least, I've heard that attributed to him. And, that's a certain altitude of consciousness that you come to that. And I don't really like what I know about Jean-Paul Sartre, but I wonder if he said that, with a little bit of a smile when he said that, because it's true. I mean, most of the hell on this planet, if not all of it, well, no, probably, but 90+% of it is the relational field, interactions, right, with people, and just all the ambient noise and confusion in our species, psychology of the species, the collective consciousness of the species. But as you heal, you start to see, oh shit, these blockages were created in a lot of ways because of the toxicity of certain relationships, of ways that I was being dominating towards somebody or controlling or manipulative, and further back because of certain fears and anxieties and, maybe deeper layers of wounding and confusion and pain. But also I was allowing my boundaries to be crossed, and I didn't speak up for myself, and I didn't express, and I went along with things that on some level, I wasn't really comfortable with. And so you start to see that mechanism, you start to heal that. And it's not too much of a leap to then have this notion, this recognition of, oh shit, here in this very reaction is that same process happening. Now, how do I transform this pattern such that I'm not bringing more shit back into the shadow, that I'm not repressing, or that I'm not creating more karma, more crap that I'm going to have to transmute, more pain, you know. What you do not transmute, transform, you will transmit. That kind of idea, Richard Rohr. And so, yeah, I mean, just not that complicated. You see how it's happened, and then you start to see, oh shit, here's an opportunity for this to happen again in this conversation with this person or in this interaction. And so you, at that point, you start to experiment and think and try to figure out, you know, what's the move here? Like, what is God calling me to do? You don't want me to repress it, because that's fucking my whole life up. I'm unhealthy psychologically. It's impacting my body. It's impacting my sleep. It's, you know, just running roughshod over my existence. So you don't want me to do that, God. And that's a useful recognition. And yet, that recognition comes with a cost. Everything does, really. Because now it means, you know, it's sort of incumbent upon you and your healing path and your healing process to try something different. And that means necessarily moving into unsafe terrain. A lot of the repression happens as a way to keep the body and the mind and the spirit safe. It's a tragic misunderstanding of what safety is on an ultimate level, on a deeper level, but we've got these very finicky, very delicate, very, I would say, ill-suited to the task nervous systems that that are part and parcel of this whole experience here. And so the healing path is swimming upstream in many ways, and it means you're going to have to confront people and realities and oppose, or, you know, stand up for yourself, you know, set boundaries, etc. And it's, I could say in a mild way, it's annoying. It's really annoying. It's like, gets messy, gets really messy. And we're comfort seeking, safety seeking, pleasure seeking bodies, beings. That's part of the deal that we've been given, is that drive to be safe. And yet the path is constantly calling us beyond that. And it's really awful. It's really annoying. It's really just fucked up. It just is. It just is. It's really annoying. But it's like, are you just going to continue to repress and continue to suffer and continue to feel heavy? And, or, you know, typically what that looks like is addiction. That's how it shows up. It's like you really don't have a choice. Suffering either way. But the repression or the avoidance is facilitated by addiction. That is avoidance. Addiction is avoidance, distraction. And so you start to do something different. Now, here's where it bifurcates, or trifurcates, or polyfurcates in many different directions, because it's more of an art, less of a science, how to do this. There's so many variables, and so many ways to get it wrong, and you will get it wrong. And I think it's kind of designed that way. It's going to be messy. But I'm trying to figure my way into I don't have this one that figured out. As much work as I've done on it, I still suck. I still don't have this one figured out, and I still fall on my face all the fucking time. How do you live this out? This recognition of peace, of truth, of how do you bring this into the world? There's a pretty logical route through this, and it's kind of a temptation, and again, there's shadows to it, but you just start speaking the fuck up at every juncture, at every bump in the road, at every kind of slight, at every mishap, at every energetic jab, at every time something comes up, somebody says something shitty or is passive aggressive, or you almost can get into this. I don't recommend this ultimately, but I think for some people, at least that's how it's been for me, part of the learning curve of coming out of all that repression and stuff is just kind of going full throttle at the world, saying, all right, you don't want me to repress? Let's fucking do this. We're gonna fucking do this. And we're just gonna let the chips fall where they may. Because you have thrown me into this world. You, God, you, creation. Had you created a more placid, serene universe, this wouldn't be an issue. But here we are in the muck, in the madness, the insane asylum of Earth, of this reality, of this planet. And so what does that look like? Well, somebody says something shitty. You can call them out on it, or you say, whoa, that's... I don't know. That's, well, let me think here. I mean, I think I've always been at least somewhat skillful. I don't think, I just said go full throttle at it, and that probably doesn't quite capture the approach. Because I'm not really talking about, starting fights and, well, I don't know, sometimes it has gotten to that a little bit. Like, here's an example. So I did and may do again Uber Eats and DoorDash for a while, as I kind of have been coming out of this healing phase, isolation phase. I don't know. I don't want to narrativize it too much, but yeah, just as a way to kind of get back in the world, back in the game. I had been doing that for a while. And I was using each of those. There was something kind of nice about it because it's like these 20 plus discrete bracketed interactions throughout the day with restaurants where you pick up and with the customers. And so you have just all these kind of, not like speed dating, but in a way, you've like speed interactions with humanity, and you see everything. You go all over town, from the most affluent little enclaves, private communities, gated communities, to just really dodgy, dangerous, rundown, drug houses and apartments and, well, I don't know about drug. I've been to a few places where I wondered, but one place that I wondered in particular. But anyways, you go all over the map and there's all kinds of different interactions. A lot of time you don't even interact with the customer, you just drop it at the door, but sometimes. Anyways, so I was using it sort of as an experimental ground. The thing is, we have these sensitive nervous systems, and a lot of people are out of touch with that. They're so numb or so kind of in repression or denial that they seem to, well, I don't really want to go down that road. But as your nervous system gets somewhat healed and that sensitivity, that spaciousness comes online, you feel things more intensely. And so somebody's throwing some energetic jabs or just being a dick, whatever it is, at you, you're going to feel that. You always feel it. It's just a matter of how kind of repressed and checked out you are. But you feel it. And so, yeah. And you also feel when people are just very kind and sweet and safe. They're a safe consciousness to be around and good people. You recognize that too. But yeah, you can imagine going throughout the day and you come across some rough characters or just whatever, angry, passive-aggressive people. A lot of them at the actual restaurants, a lot of these people are just dicks and these front-facing